This podcast is brought to you by Rebecca Cassells of the Rising Dawn series. Do you like violence? Do you like smut? Are you tired of the stereotypical novels of werewolf romance out there and want something a little bit different? Then pick up Sparked Revolution, Book 1 in the Rising Dawn series by Rebecca Cassells. Available on Amazon, in Kindle, and paperback. You too can become a sponsor of Stories, The True and the Fictional by heading on over to buymeacoffee.com/STTATF or follow the link in the show notes. Hello guys and welcome to another episode of Stories, The True and the Fictional. We've got another exciting returning guest for you, but before we bring her in, Ryan, how you going? What's been happening?
Oh, mate, LTD, mate, living the dream. Living
LTD?
The absolute dream. LTD. Like to bring in the acronyms this early in the morning. But yeah, no, going good, man, good. Just keeping on, and, you know, just relaxing and having fun and reading a lot of books.
Cool. So guys, check out our sponsors, Rebecca Cassells, Martin Kearns, me too, check out my stuff. All the links will be down in the show notes. But now, welcoming back for the second time, Dante Terese, how are we?
I am good. I am very thankful to come back, and I'm enjoying your new backdrop there. You've really gotten fancy.
Yes, well, it is the summertime over here in Australia, so there's no aircon in my bedroom where I used to record, so I'd rather not be sweating.
It's minus 2 degrees here. We're all jealous. I see you guys in your t-shirts and everything. I'm like jealous.
Oh, honestly, no matter if it's like 100 degrees or 2 degrees, I'd still be in shorts and shirts. I'm one of those guys who, no matter how cold, how hot it is, I'm always wearing shorts and shirts. I don't think I own a pair of pants, to be honest with you. It's just shirts and shorts all year for me because I don't feel cold. I'm one of those mutants that has the ability to keep warm all the time. But that's it. You're the second or third guest who's actually commented that we've had back on, commenting about Jamie's new backdrop. I think when we first started this podcast many years ago, we used to record in Jamie's bedroom. He used to have a big mattress up against the wall, and we had a returning guest last week. He said, "Oh, it's so nice to see you without the mattress anymore," and that's how you know we're moving up in the world.
Yeah.
Well, you could have actually used it to get sponsorship.
I would have just decked it out with all kind of, sponsor labels and logos and stuff like that.
Well, I'll have to check with our sponsors because that could have been the reason, that.
Yeah.
There you go.
You never know. Well, let's dive into these icebreakers. As you're a returning guest, you get to sample the new set of icebreakers, and then we're going to get into all about your new book. But Ryan, do you want to go first? Do you want to go second? What do you want to do, Ryan?
No, I'll go second again. I like those two questions.
All right. So, simple question. What did you want to be when you grew up?
I think I wanted to be early because I came early. And ever since then, I've just sort of been a little on the neurotic OCD side. I've always been like early for everything. I have a sibling who's late for everything. And they try to correct that by telling her that events are like half an hour early, so that way she'll be on time. But she figured that one out. But that's me.
Yeah, no, my wife is the same. I always tell her, whenever we go out, I'm like, okay, you got to be ready at this time, but also I call it the Stephanie buffer. So I give her 30 minutes to 45 minutes prior to when we go out, because I'm the same as you. I'm early, if not on time. I always give myself way too much time to get places and end up being, ridiculously early. So I can definitely get on board with that.
Yep.
It's like Chris's family, our mutual friend Chris, his family, they're all Filipinos and they're notorious for being late.
Yeah.
Like not half an hour late, like hours late.
Oh, wow.
It's just like,
Yeah. Oh, well, dinner's over. Hello, we're here.
Yeah, I think his wife is a statistical anomaly, and that's only because of Chris.
Yeah.
They're generally on time, but I have a feeling that Chris is the one who's just like, if you don't get ready now, you're not coming. So yeah. All right, question number 2. If you could have a talking animal sidekick, what would you pick? And also bonus points for who would you have voicing it?
Recently I had the experience of actually seeing a donkey.
Okay.
And donkeys really are just perfect for a cartoon character. I don't know why someone hasn't seized on that yet, because they make faces.
Yeah.
They do all kinds of amusing things with their mouth, and they distort it, and they make, they show you every tooth they have, and
Yeah.
they really are just really comical. And I think I would voice it with a really good comedian. Like maybe Chris Rock. I don't know
Yeah.
if you folks have heard of
Yeah.
him across.
I love
Yep,
Chris
yep.
Rock. Yeah.
Oh, definitely,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think get a donkey uh and then have Chris Rock voice it. I think that would be hysterical.
No, definitely. I think the two most famous iterations of cartoon donkeys are obviously Donkey from Shrek, voiced by Eddie Murphy,
Mm.
and then the really depressed donkey on Winnie the Pooh,
Yeah.
Eeyore, who always was, I think, like 15 minutes away from killing himself.
Yeah.
It's just so, and
Yeah,
it was funny. They did a because the rights to Winnie the Pooh became public over the last few years. They did a horror version of Winnie.
really.
Yeah, they've done two, the first and the second. They're both absolutely amazing if you're a horror fan. The first one's called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and they actually
Oh,
have
geez.
a gravestone for Eeyore. He actually did finally commit suicide
Oh.
and ended it all. But yeah, so if you're a horror fan, check out Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and the sequel, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. You know what? You think it's going to be cheesy as all hell. It's actually not. It's actually the second movie, the sequel is better than the first because they actually go into, how they became what they became and everything like that. They're fantastic. So yeah.
So did you guys watch Bambi versus Godzilla?
No, I haven't
I hadn't even heard of
Oh,
it.
you have to. You have to. It's short. But and then after that there is Bambi's Revenge, which is also equally short. But I mean, yeah, it's pretty intense. Yeah.
Well, see, the Bambi movie I would have made, honestly, is once Bambi's mum dies. Spoiler alert for almost over 100-year-old movie, I think. But once her mother died, I would have her just getting dressed up Rambo style, going after the hunters that killed her mum, and just murdering them all. But that's just me being a horror aficionado. So-
Actually, out here in the States, that's not horror. That's actually pretty probable.
I'm surprised that actually hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, it probably will. I mean, there'll probably be a squirrel who's, just
Like
picture it,
Well, there's a video going around at the moment on Facebook. I'm pretty sure it's old, but it has an actual meerkat and a warthog playing together. It's like the real life version of Timon and Pumbaa from The Lion King. And
Oh man.
it goes for about, I think, a couple of minutes, and they actually playing, and the meerkat jumps up on the warthog's back, and the warthog shakes him off, and they're playing together. It's actually adorable, but it's just for people like us who grew up on The Lion King. I thought it was really, really, really cool that those two animals are the furthest from the animals that you would think that would be together, but then in real life they do it too.
Well, they over here they blame everything on like what cartoons were they watching and what music were they listening to and everything like that. So I guess those two animals, they didn't have access to cartoons and music, so they had to get along and be nice.
Yeah. No, it's really, really cute if you see it. It's absolutely adorable. the fact that the way that they're just playing with each other. And I thought, yeah, that's childhood memories right there.
And if you listen
Huh.
carefully enough, you can hear them singing.
Oh, okay.
No. Okay. All right. So, fun one. You're king, queen, supreme leader, or president for a day. What do you do?
Let me see. I think I would fire all of our leadership, and in their places, I would install comic book characters.
Mhm.
I think that
Captain
could be
America
really
as
interesting.
president for sure.
Yeah,
Captain
yeah, I
America
think,
as president.
yeah, just give everyone a pink slip and and it could be something applied to a few other countries too, that if
Yeah.
they had someone who is rather overbearing or whatever, let's just see if Spider-Man could, take their place and we'll
Oh,
just that's what I think would be nice,
Yeah.
if we swept a lot of these leaders out and just put comic book characters in there, it would be entertaining at least. I
Yeah.
mean,
I think because I would always have Captain America as president, but now that you said Spider-Man, I feel like either one of those two characters are probably the most selfless
right?
in all of the comic book universe. Like when you think about it, like you think about Iron Man, he's an ex-drunk and he is quite selfless, but he has his flaws. Whereas I think Spider-Man's flaw is that he cares too much about other people, and Captain
Mhm.
America would just be the perfect
Yeah.
president, and nothing would get by. But in saying that, as our previous conversation off air, then if you did that right now, that would be Elon Musk's tipping point, and he would become
Mhm.
Dr.
He would,
or something
yes.
like that, and he would then be, then we would be living in a comic book world for
Or
sure.
or would you just replace Elon Musk with Tony Stark? Because they're
No,
essentially the same person.
Yeah, yeah, it,
oh,
yes,
okay.
let's see. It would be nice to.
Elon will be on Mars by then. It'll be...
Yeah, no, yeah, back with his home people. Because
Yeah,
I honestly believe he's from Mars.
yes.
It's just now that you've said that, you've got me thinking. I was like, you know what? Because I'm thinking he's quirky, but so is Tony Stark.
Hmm.
He's got lots of money, which obviously Tony Stark does, and technically in the MCU, he's one step away from becoming a supervillain. And Robert
Hmm.
Downey Jr. is casted playing Doctor Doom, so.
Hmm.
I think we're there. I think we're there, guys.
We're
So
onto something.
Yes,
well
and
done.
yes,
Well
indeed.
done for making that observation, Jamie.
Hmm.
Okay, we're ready for the next question.
Next one.
Sure.
Okay, I'm just all our meetings happen on air, so I'm just bringing the sheet up again. Okay, yeah, this is my favorite question. So, what book or story would you like to see adapted into a film? Bonus points if you pick a director and a leading actor and actress.
Okay. We have a very famous writer here, and I'm sure you're familiar with him over there, Dr. Seuss.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Seuss wrote a book called The Starbelly Sneetches.
I can't say I've
It's
heard
one
of
of
that
his
one.
less popular books, but it was sort of about a aristocratic ruling class that had pretty much everything and looked down on everybody who didn't have everything. But since they had everything, no one else had what they had, They took it all.
Yep.
Anyway, so he did it in wonderful poetry, like he always does. And basically the Starbelly Sneetches, they were born with a star in their stomach. And they felt like very, very superior to everyone because they had this star on their stomach. They were Starbelly Sneetches. They were not
Yeah.
common Sneetches. They were Starbelly Sneetches. So
Okay.
anyway, let me see. I think you can find, without looking too hard, some similarities in that book and in some of things that are happening here. You think?
Hmm.
But I think in terms of who will play the Starbelly Sneetch, I think we have an actor here on Saturday Night Live who does a fantastic portrayal of some folks, and his name is Alec Baldwin. He could be a
Oh
very
wow.
convincing, you know, Starbelly
Yeah.
Sneech. I mean, I don't need to care.
Mm.
You know, so that's an idea right there.
Cool. Yeah, no.
And who do
Mhm.
you think which if you know a director that would be quirky enough to actually do that book justice?
Let me see. Directors. It's sad that we lost David Lynch.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, because he could he could really twist things around and make stuff interesting and let me see. Quentin Tarantino, that might be
that's
good.
Mm.
yeah, because
Yep.
he absolutely love Quentin Tarantino. He's spin on, I pretty much haven't seen a bad Tarantino movie. So I think he's just quirky enough to pull that off.
And the finale, one of the Starbelly Sneeches gets into a rocket and goes up to Mars thinking that it's a reusable rocket, but it's not.
He gets stuck on Mars.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well,
they,
yep.
and just like that, we're back to Elon Musk.
It's
He
subliminal.
It
It's
is. I was
subliminal
going to say, it's
messaging.
like, when you have your phone and you're talking about, oh, you know what, I really want to buy this, and then all of a sudden your Facebook feed or
Yep, yep.
everything just shows up as that
Yeah.
item. That's what Elon's doing. He's programming us to constantly talk about him because of his
It's like having a
exploitation.
stalker.
Exactly. He's a real life stalker.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, speaking of Elon Musk,
Yes,
our
yes.
fifth question. Elon Musk has perfected his electric time machine and he's put you in charge of organizing a dinner party of historical figures. Who do you put on the guest list? And I remember last time you actually stole his time machine, so
Yeah, I
clearly
did.
he built another one.
Okay, this time I think I'm going to put him in one of his rockets and send him to Mars with a shopping list, a grocery list.
Okay.
And let me see. But I'm going to put him in the wrong one. I'm not going to put him in one of his reusable rockets. It's going to be a one-way ticket to
Yeah.
Mars.
Hmm.
And I'm just going to,
Dr. Zeus him.
say, okay, I'm going to text you the list, honey. Bye.
He's like, wait, there's no satellites on Mars.
Yes.
So you're not going to put together a dinner party? You're just going to send him off?
Well, actually, yeah, historical figures at a dinner party. Well, now that I've gotten him out of the way,
Yeah. I mean,
it could actually
he
be,
doesn't have to come, like you can,
oh, good. Oh,
you know.
good. Yeah, he could just,
Yeah.
give me $450 billion for a meal
Yeah.
and I'll keep the change.
That's it.
Let me see. We've had some interesting people here. Um, but some of them, okay, historical figures, okay. So it would be okay to, have David Lynch come back
Yep.
for this party. And Eleanor Roosevelt was very, very feisty. Some people said that she was actually the president during
Yeah, I
the
heard that.
time. Yeah, 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 yeah. So, but she was very feisty. And she would say things that you weren't supposed to say back then. So that was cool. And let me see now. I'm trying to think of another historical figure. Um, I thought, bringing in some vampires could be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, um, I was sort of thinking about that, and then Mary, the lady who wrote the Frankenstein book.
Yep.
Mary Shelley.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Yeah. She could be fun to hang with,
Definitely.
because she had some really cool and interesting ideas and stuff. And if anyone got out of hand, she could just give them a zap of electricity, see if her experiments work and such. Yep, yep.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty solid lineup. I would definitely like to be at that dinner party.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Are we invited?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, I think so.
We'll do a live podcast from the dinner.
Yeah, that'd be great,
Yeah.
We can all wave goodbye to the rocket and then we can sit down. David Lynch, I'm sure, would love to hang around with some good
Mm.
old school vampires.
Definitely.
Yeah, and then Mary Shelley would also, I think, derive a fair amount of inspiration um, from hanging with the vampires and Eleanor Roosevelt, who was the original badass woman.
Hmm.
And yep, with brains, and we like that,
Mhm.
you know. Yeah.
So when you say vampires, would you just grab some random vampires, or you going Count Dracula, Vlad the Impaler? Like, is there any specific vampires that you actually want to bring?
You, yeah, that's a good question. I really did like the early Dracula
Mhm.
and the early Dracula movie as
Yep.
well.
You're
And
talking about the one with Gary Oldman and Keanu Reeves, and is that the one you're talking about? The back in the 90s?
No, probably the 1930s. The classics.
yeah, actually the 1930s, that one was kind of cool because they just didn't have the special effects
Yeah.
that we have
No,
now.
they didn't.
Um, you know, um, but that's one thing I noticed. I mean, when in the Wizard of Oz, the sound of the tornado was achieved by using a tea kettle,
Mm,
Really?
yeah.
a whistling tea kettle. Yep.
Oh, wow. I've watched that movie so many times when I was little because it was my grandmother's favorite movie, and they pretty much recite the whole thing, and I had no idea that that was a tea kettle.
Yeah, it was a tea kettle. And I read Lorna Luft is one of Judy Garland's daughters.
Mhm.
And she said that Judy would never allow them to look at the movie when they were young. But they had a
Okay.
babysitter one day, and the babysitter showed him the movie. And when they got to the part about the flying monkeys, the kids were so scared that they called their mother, and she was like on stage or something, and they said, "You have to come home. You have to come home."
Mm.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So if you watched it at a young age and you weren't afraid of the flying monkeys, that's that's good for you because I remember being rather afeared of them.
Maybe that's where my love of horror first started back when I was just, 4 or 5 or 6 watching um, The Wizard of Oz. My nan would have two go-to movies, The Wizard of Oz or The Sound of Music, and they were on constant rotation. So
Oh wow.
I grew up with Nazis and flying monkeys. So maybe that's why I like horror movies.
Nazis and flying monkeys.
Yep, merge them together.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. How would you feel about Nazi flying monkeys?
Oh, that would be my perfect movie. I think I could die happily after watching that. There probably is a movie out there somewhere in the B grade
Yeah,
Hall of Fame about Nazi flying monkeys.
and if not, they've probably just listened to this and gotten the idea, and it's in the works.
Well, maybe that's what Elon was doing yesterday. He was summoning the flying monkeys. Nazi things.
Yes. I was about to say that. There
Yeah.
has to be there has to be some explanation for that. We still haven't received it.
Oh, it's Elon Musk. There doesn't have to be an explanation. I mean, for a guy who names his kid X,
Yeah.
he's just my wife, again, being the conspiracy nut she is. She says she thinks because he'd apparently got like 6 or 7 kids now. They do by artificial insemination. Like
He's got
his
11.
partner. Oh, there you go. Yeah, 11. So
11 kids by 3 women.
yeah.
Wow.
So she reckons that he's just trying to create the alien human hybrid, so that the species could be wiped out and replaced with his own people.
Well, he has said in an interview that he thinks that he's very much afraid that humankind is going to disappear. So he wants to engage in mass procreation with his genes, so that way we'll have them taking over us or whatever. I don't know.
Sounds a little bit like alien talk to me.
It
And
does.
now
It does.
now we can't even kill him because he's in a total position of power.
I don't know who thought that one up, but here we are.
when it comes to people with too much money and too much power, it just screams supervillain to me.
It does. It does.
But anyway, this is apparently not the Elon Musk
Elon
podcast.
Musk podcast.
Apparently, as much as he would like it to be.
Yeah.
But yes, we can continue on now. Well done with those icebreakers. I think I've only asked those a few times because I was off this podcast for a little while, but it's always good to get the new questions, different answers for the new questions.
But the third set of questions are the best, and Ryan has never even seen them.
Okay.
I think maybe once with Kernsey, or no,
you weren't around because I created them like late last year. You know what?
Yeah.
Kernsey's been on so many times. I gotta do something special.
This podcast is brought to you by Martin Kearns and the Valor of Valhalla series. In the battle between two ancient evils, can one naive young man become the last hope against powerful creatures of legend? Beneath the Veil is the gripping first book in the Valor of Valhalla dark urban fantasy series. If you like reluctant heroes, infernal myths, and bloody epic clashes, then you'll love Martin Kearns' formidable foray into the unknown. So head on over to readkearns.com and grab yourself a copy of Beneath the Veil today.
So we're going to talk about your new book that's coming out, but first you sent us a book trailer, and we're going to watch that together. And,
Awesome, thank you.
Do you just want to tell us a bit about the trailer, how you went about making it, and all that, while I bring it up?
Sure. This is actually what you're going to show us is the commercial, and we are going to be filming a trailer starting on February 2nd.
Awesome.
So the commercial is for the base series. Book 2 is done and out, and I am working on book 3, and we are hoping to make it a streaming series on TV
awesome.
or something.
The base is where the military sends you to work on top secrets. When they find out a scientist is ahead of their time and has exceptional skills, they bring you here. Because this is where they hide the secret lab, in this boring place that might as well be nowhere. Because they believe that no one would ever look or try to find them here. Yeah, right. Nobody would come here to try to steal a top secret invention. Who could possibly want that? Welcome to the base. Now, watch out for the spies.
There you go. That's very cool.
Well, there's a villain in there because you have the
Yeah. The evil laugh, yes.
That has to be a prerequisite for villains. They have to go to laugh school or something and learn how to do that evil laugh.
Yeah. It had a real 80s vibe. Is that what you were going for? Like the
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the series takes place right before the 80s. And it was kind of challenging when we were taking pictures and stuff. Like one of the guys had on a smartwatch. We're like, no.
You gotta take that off, yeah.
And when we shoot the trailer starting in February, I'm gonna have to be a tech police again and,
Yeah.
tell everyone no cell phones, because
Yeah.
cell phones there were back in the 80s, I think maybe they were just coming out, but they were like the size of a brick,
Yeah. Like the big, yeah, fat,
a
yeah,
cinder block or
yeah,
something. I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, so
So,
it is kind of funny going backwards, writing from a time that is before this time.
yeah. But it'd be a lot of fun with the research and that because I found that when I wrote one of my books which was set in 1932 and I had to go back and research and that was such a fun process. Was that like same for you?
Oh, yes, yes. Especially like when I was researching the Portuguese man-o-war jellyfish. And so the scientists, they did actually have to go, this is in book one, they had to go to Portugal. And so the currency there, it was pre-euro currency.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I had to, I had really had to nitpick and look at all
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah. Or just
Yep.
not talk about money.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you had to have someone get exposure to the venom.
yeah.
And back then, if you were exposed to the Portuguese man of war venom, they used this pink junk, calamine lotion. And they would put that on you, but you weren't supposed to rub or scratch anything because you would spread these welts all over you if you
Yeah.
did. And things they've improved upon that lately, but that was the way it was back in the day. If you got exposed to the venom, so you would have this awful pink chalky stuff on you,
Mm.
and it would leave crumbs everywhere. So
Okay.
jellyfish. Do you guys have them out there?
Oh
We
yeah.
do. We have
Lots of them.
jellyfish, and then we have blue bottles, which are like a smaller, not as
Mhm.
deadly jellyfish, but still hurts like hell when it
They,
stings you.
they look like they sound. They're like long, like a bottle.
Yeah, yeah, and they're the most common. You generally will find them washed up on beaches pretty much all around Australia, and you have to sort of dodge them as you're walking along the beach or in the water.
Lots of fun.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
We have a lot of things out here that'll kill you. Yeah, that should be the tourism slogan. Come out to Australia, you might survive. Maybe.
That'd be funny.
Yeah. So Ryan wasn't here last time, and for anyone that isn't listening, give us a breakdown. Just what is like about the first book, the base, like what's it about? Just a
Sure.
brief.
Okay, the base book one starts off the series, and basically what it is it's sort of a cat and mouse game. The military, if they find out that you are really, really good at something, like better than all your coworkers and everything like that, in this country, you get transferred like every 3 or 4 years to another base. They keep rotating the people. But if they find out that you are extremely knowledgeable, like absolutely obsessed with things or something, then they are going to send you to the base. And that's where you get sent. And you are working with people that are, incredibly obsessed with perfection on some very minute specialties. So you have some quirky coworkers. And so that is, and then you have some quirky neighbors on this base too. So what they have to do is they have to perfect a military invention. It's a top secret invention. They all have to pull their talents together and their expertise. And each one of these guys has, different strange sort of niche. They all have to come together. They have to make this deadline and they have to make this invention. And the military gives you sort of a checklist of all the things and the attributes that this thing has to have. And so, for instance, temperature. It has to be able to withstand the temperature range of what would be inside a tank in the Saudi desert. And it has to be able to withstand winds, and it has to be able to be submersible and stuff. And there's all these protocols and everything on this list that they call a spec sheet. And so the scientists are working to create this thing, and they're working really, really hard to get all the attributes right and everything like that. But while they're working on it, spies and thieves are trying to steal it. And so it's this cat and mouse game between the scientists and the spies. And let me see, the scientists have a much better arsenal than traditional American film, where everyone just kind of shoots everyone and that's just the end of it. Because I don't know, it's kind of boring to me. But you have a scientist. I'm going to show you the cover of book 1, which you saw there in the video.
Oh, lovely.
And yes, the gentleman in the middle is a military entomologist.
Wow.
And so he's an expert on insects.
Mhm.
And so, as you can imagine, it can get a little interesting with that, making an invention with an insect expert on it.
Yeah.
And then we have a gentleman who, right over here, and he is portraying Cullen, who makes like artificial cartilage,
Okay.
and that can get a little interesting. And then the gentleman right here, which is portrayed by actor Roy Lee, he animates anything. If you make something, he will know how to animate that thing, and he will know how to make it walk, how to make it run, how to make it jump, how to make it blow up, how to make it do anything, with these absolutely microscopic little implants. And so they make this invention. And of course, the spies and thieves, which are really bad villains, and they were villains because you just heard the trailer and you heard that, oh. That's like the mark of the villain.
Yeah.
And the spies and the thieves are trying to steal it. Yeah.
So does book 1 end on a cliffhanger, or have you kind of wrapped it up with
No,
a little
actually,
bit of an opening?
Book 1 does have an opening, and so that is how we wound up with book 2.
Yeah.
And book 2, you already have the groundwork laid. You already know what these guys do.
Yeah.
And you already know, that they wound up transferred out to this remote base, and you already know about they're going to get a spec sheet and they have to all work on it, and that some evil people are trying to steal it and stuff. And so it expands on that. It expands on that really much, much more, and it gets a lot more fun, and much more of a soap opera and a roller coaster with people just having a blast with it, literally. And spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But yes indeed.
Now, how did you go about? Obviously, you're talking about the spies and the thieves. Obviously, in the first book, I haven't read it yet. I just grabbed it on Kindle Unlimited. So with the first book and the second book, how did you distinguish between making it not the same kind of story, but because obviously it is going to be a similar story because the government or the international spies and stuff like that will always be there. But how do you make that interesting for people to want to get the second book and go, I have to read this?
Because every couple of weeks or months, the military gives you a new expert.
Mm-hmm.
They give you a new super expert that is going to be your new co-worker, and then they give you a new list. And so these 3 guys, they're sort of the core. They're the ones that are always there. But then all of a sudden, here comes another expert, and this person's area of expertise is something that they've never seen before. And now they have to make a device that does something, completely different, and so you've already experienced like the first 3 characters' interactions and stuff like that, and then some of those scientists that come there and they have this great expertise and everything like that. Well, that the bad guys are trying to buy them off. And so is this scientist also like these 3 that have really high integrity, or is this scientist a double agent? Is he on 2 payrolls? And you know, what is he going to do when someone tries to catch him? Well, maybe he will use his expertise on fire or something like that, and fight fire with fire. You know, um, they can always, you know, and then how do they trip that guy up, and how do they trip the villains up and stuff like that? Because the villains may steal something, but that doesn't make you, you know, technically proficient in operating it. So that's a
Exactly.
cautionary tale. I mean, if you're going to steal something and you don't know how to work it, ooh, bad things can happen.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is there an end in mind for the series? Are you going to just keep writing them as they come?
Well, the third book is going to be the end for the book series. I'm having a lot of fun writing it because I've and you're a writer, so you understand this. Isn't it fun making villains?
Yes.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And you kind of love to hate them, but you don't want to glorify, like, you know, if they're really rich or anything like that. You don't kind of want to glorify how they got rich, but
Yeah.
at the same time you can have fun with just how evil they are.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
That's what I like to hear, because I have this real ick about where people, like, you know, especially in movie and TV shows, they try and get you to sympathize for the villain, and like, oh, he had a bad childhood, or oh, he got this, and this. Why can't a villain just be evil for wanting to be
Yeah.
evil? You know what I mean? Like, why does there have to be, you know, like, because as I say, they always say, and I watch a lot of true crime documentaries, and they're like, oh, he
Yep.
was bullied as a kid, and he was you know, abused by his parents. There are a lot of people out there who were bullied as a kid and abused by their parents. They turned out fine. Why are you trying to garner sympathy for someone who's just evil? And I like a villain who's just evil for being evil. You know what I mean? There's no hidden agenda. There's no, oh, I was doing this to save, you know, whatever. Just be evil for being evil.
Well, this individual enjoys being evil.
Good. That's the
And
kind of villain that I'm.
is just unrepentant about it, and then is just trying to get more polished and better at it.
Good.
And
Yeah.
but it is kind of, I had a lot of fun in book 2, because as we all were raised up to believe, there are consequences for taking the wrong path.
Mhm.
Maybe not just in this life, but perhaps even in the afterlife.
Yeah.
So, you know, yes, my name's Dante. My last name is not Iligari, but I sort of, you know, thought about, like, you know, what is hell like? You know, Mr. Iligari just sort of gave us all a portrait he did in when he wrote Dante's Inferno, the Inferno actually. But he gave us a portrait of hell that, you know, we all can sort of recite from memory. Lots of fire, you know, lots of misery, this and that and the other thing. But what I like to think is that, you know, everyone says that God knows you since before you were born. And he knows every thought in your head. Like, for instance, if you did something and you did it with a bad spirit, he knows that. You know, if you cheated, if you lied, he knows that. But I like to think that the devil also knows you very intimately. And he knows that the last person you would ever want to spend eternity with in a very, very small cell, he knows who that is, you know. And perhaps if you go south, as I'd like to say, and for your afterlife, for your eternity, perhaps you're going to spend eternity in a very small cell with the one person you most despise. And guess what's on the menu every day? It's going to be the one food that you couldn't stand, that you couldn't even be in the room with and stuff. So I had a lot of fun with eternity and where bad folks go. And I guess the moral of the story is, if you really don't want to eat a salty chipped ham sandwich, so salty that it's crunchy for every meal for eternity, behave.
Yeah.
No, I
Behave.
totally agree. I honestly, I'm not religious at all. I'm very open about that, but obviously I don't judge people because they are, but I honestly think that if there was a hell, it wouldn't just be fire and brimstone. It'd be your own personal hell, like you just said, that you have to endure for all eternity. You know what I mean? Like, not just, oh yeah, it's hot and there's demons around and all that. No, it's your personal hell that you have to not enjoy, that you have to deal with for an endless period of time. And
Now, I don't know if you have some of the annoyances that we have here, because we have things like infomercials.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do.
I think that they would be on all the time there. And what about those soliciting phone calls?
Yep.
Yep. At all hours. Yep. And we can sort of comfortably make a list of pretty much everything you'd find in hell. And I think those two things would definitely be on the list. But I think I agree with Ryan that hell is, sort of customized. That they really put a lot of effort into giving you a customized experience,
Yeah. Definitely. They want to get those Yelp reviews up. So they want to make sure it's as personal as possible.
TripAdvisor.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So you mentioned you're planning on doing a series with this book, like TV?
Yeah, I think that's the best way that it could be adapted. I think it could be a lot of fun. And so we are shooting the trailer in it's about 2 weeks from now or so. That's when we're going to kick off on that. And I'm adapting the books into film, and adapting them into series and stuff. And I think it could be a lot of fun. I've met a lot of talented people out here, and it's really going to be fun to see them in front of the camera. I could, step back and watch them horse around. In our first shoot, we will be shooting a scene from hell.
Oh, awesome!
And so we're going to have a lot of devils, and they're going to be doing what devils do. I mean, I don't know if you guys were around in the 80s, they sort of blamed everything on the music and on the video games.
Yeah.
So naturally the devils are going to be, playing heavy metal on their pitchforks and maybe playing some video games and stuff like that,
Yeah, no,
I think that's very
we were both
interesting.
born in the 80s, so we know all about that.
Yes. Yeah. So anytime something happens out here, like they at least during the 80s, they would try to blame it on the music or the video games and all this and that. So when we shoot the scene with the devils, of course, they're going to have to be playing music and yep.
Doing what they call evil.
My great grandmother, who was a horrible person, and thank God she's not with us anymore, used to say, like, me and Jamie were both in punk rock bands. Like, we used to play together. That's how we met. And my great grandmother used to tell me I was going to hell all the time because she was a devout Catholic, and I was playing the devil's music. So yeah, I just I remember quite fondly when she used to say that, and I said, "Well, I guess I'll see you there."
Oh,
she was horrible. No, she was. There is no filter between my head and my mouth, but this lady, seriously, she was a horrible person. And but yeah, now she's down there looking up and watching all of us. But yeah, she always used to tell me I was going to hell because I was playing the devil's music.
So what would be her food down there, Ryan?
She hated everything, so I think that it could just be like a
that'd be quite
rotation
difficult.
of pretty much anything, because anything that gave you any kind of pleasure, she was against.
I'd like to think there's a few demons rocking into a cell playing music.
Yeah.
She's not running the place down there, but she definitely qualified. She's 100% qualified to run that place. If she wasn't qualified to do that, then yeah, she'd have constant, the devil's music, constant, just constant, anything that brings us any kind of pleasure, she hated, which is so weird because my great grandfather, who was in World War II, I reckon he went to the war just to get away from her. And he was a rat of Trabuc, so he was in a POW camp. Again, extra time. I'm pretty sure he would rather get tortured and then go back to Harry. But he was the sweetest guy. He was so, and he stayed with her until the very end. And that man has the patience of a saint because she would yell and scream at him all the time. Anyway, this is not the dysfunctional family podcast.
You know that episode of The Simpsons where Homer goes to hell and it's like, you like donuts, do you?
Yep.
We'll have all the donuts in the world.
And then they run out.
And it's like, I don't get it. I don't get it. It should like.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's my go-to thought of hell.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Any other questions, Ron?
No, I normally just ask about the artwork on the book, but you've explained that pretty well. It's the photographs from the commercial and everything like that. You can get both of the books on Kindle Unlimited. So if you're a subscriber to Kindle Unlimited, jump on and grab them. I just picked both of them up. But yeah, no, I'm very, very interested to getting started. One of my favorite authors of all time is Matthew Riley, who does a lot of espionage and spy novels and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm very keen to give this a go.
Thank you.
And I'll definitely leave a review on.
Now, when you said the books are on Kindle on Demand, do you mean
Kindle? Yeah, Amazon.
Oh, Kindle Unlimited. Okay.
So Amazon, you can buy them. But because I read so much, I do all my reading digitally, so on my tablet or on my computer, because I just literally would have no room for all the books that I have.
I understand that.
Kindle Unlimited is like Netflix for books. So, it's really good because you can have up to 14 books in your library at a time and you just return them once you finish with them. So for someone like me, it's amazing because I can just go, okay, cool, and read it. And I believe you guys get paid by the page. Yeah. So, I generally will read books multiple times anyway. So I absolutely love it. So yeah, you can, both your books are on Kindle Unlimited. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And just quickly, while I can think of it, how'd you go about getting the guys to, do the cover? Like, are they people you know, or did you put out a notice and hire some people?
Well, for the folks on the cover, I knew one actor, and then he knew some other actors, and then I spoke to them. So that's how I got the three scientists on the cover. I was very, very fortunate with that. Now, let me see, for the upcoming shoot for the film trailers, I did go to a school that has a drama department out here.
Awesome.
And then also, I had been visiting a lot of strange buildings in this town that I live in, and other little unusual places and stuff. And then I went back to them and I said, is it possible for me to film in here? And so I was really lucky because the hell scene, we found a pool room, as in the game pool.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And that building is, over 100, I think 140 years old.
Oh.
And
awesome.
The pool room has these really sort of dark pumpkin red walls.
Perfect.
And it's super creepy. I mean, the pool table and stuff like that. The person who runs that building actually has told me, and a lot of the old buildings I have visited, I've asked people, are there any ghosts in here? And they all talk about, oh yeah, we have ghosts and stuff. But that building in particular, that pool room, they said, oh yeah, there's ghosts. There's, things start banging around in the pool room and there's nobody there. And so So we'll see if any of them show up on camera.
Yeah. That's it. That's
You
it.
know,
Well, once it's done and we've had a watch, we'll get you back on to talk about that. 'Cause
thank you.
yeah, we're both
It's
looking forward to it.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's a big challenge. I mean,
Yep.
especially when you're dealing with a lot of people
Yeah.
and trying to get everyone on a schedule
Yep.
and can everyone make this day? Can everyone make this time? And then it's like, oh yeah, all the actors can make it. It's like, but I forgot to ask the cameraman.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That was dumb,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
so I try to look at all the paperwork and stuff that
Yeah.
I have to do when I'm fully awake. So I
Yeah.
don't make another mistake like that.
That's it.
Yep.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Do you just want to tell us where they can follow you, like the Instagram, website, and all that
Sure.
stuff?
Let me see. I'll show you my name on the bottom of the book. It's Dante Terese. Last name is Terese.
Yep.
There's a website there, Amazon, Facebook. Facebook, I also write an interesting thing called the Sidewalk Report, where I just take pictures of this crazy area that I live in, and I write a few sentences about things that I have found. And so it's all under the same name, Dante Terese. So if you're on Facebook, friend me, and you'll get to see all those other crazy things that I write and those crazy places I get to visit.
And hopefully the behind the scenes of the upcoming short film you're doing.
Well, actually, on the Facebook post and on the website also, I mean, you'll get to see all the pitchforks that you can't see in my apartment right now, and devil horns, and this is becoming a prop room. So I'm squeezed over into this corner, but I have lots of devil horns, and some of them even light up, and pitchforks and other props arriving in costumes. And
I can just picture someone breaking into your house, finding them, and going freaking out and running away without taking anything.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah. Thanks again, and guys, make sure you check out Dante Terese on all the socials, and that all the links will be down in the show notes. Check out our sponsors, Rebecca Cassells, Martin Kearns. If you want to reach out, thetrueandthefictional@gmail.com. But once again, thank you for coming on, Dante Terese.
Thank you for having me.
We'll catch you guys next time.
See you next time.
In 1932, the Australian Army declared war on 20,000 emus and lost. It's a part of Australian history that not many know about. Maybe that's because history is written by those who win. So if you want to hear the full story of the Great Emu War of 1932, then check out my book, Letters from the Emu War. Read letters, newspaper articles, and journal entries. With every turn of the page, you will gain a deeper understanding of the life and times of emus at war. So head on over to jabryden.com and grab a signed copy today.